Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is Shelly Harris with RunSignup. And today we are presenting the topic of the advantage of fundraising. And we have two presenters today. So we have Steve and Elizabeth with the RunSignup as well. And they will walk you through the topic today and also answer your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the questions area on your GoToWebinar control panel, and then people will answer your questions there. And then if we have time at the end, we'll kind of dialogue some of the more consistent questions or kind of general questions that will pertain to everybody. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Steve, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Shelly. Yeah, today our topic, first, welcome everybody online watching, as well as anybody who's watching it later on demand. We are talking about fundraising and what are the advantages of it, particularly thinking about how does it not only increase revenue, but how is it going to help you increase registrations? How is it going to get more people to come to your race? All right, so the things that we're going to cover today, first of all, why activate? What are the motivations behind why you would want to turn on fundraising, not just donations? And what is the difference between those two things? That's a really important distinction that we'll cover. Then we'll go over how to perform the basic setup functions to enable fundraising within your dashboard for each event. And how do we use fundraising to increase registrations? We're going to dive into some specific topics and some specific features of fundraising. So there are sub features, if you will, that help you really maximize the power of it. And we have a really fun section where we're going to be introducing a couple guest stars, and I will let you wait in anticipation as we make our way there. But very excited to have them with us today. So first of all, why activate fundraising? So the first reason is that it increases donations. I mean, that is kind of why we're doing donations and fundraising, right? That's that's why we came to the show. And it doesn't just increase them, it increases by 700%. And that's the number of donations as well as the average amount that somebody donates. And we've got some data here that we showed at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. This is pulled from our Race Trends report from 2021. You can find that on our website. And this just kind of illustrates how you can see your revenue, the amount of your revenue, total revenue that's coming from donations significantly increases, almost doubles the percentage by turning on fundraising. Now, the second reason to activate fundraising is that it creates super supporters. And what are super supporters? So those are your ride or dies, right? The people that you are relying on to bring you to your goal, to help you reach your goal for your event. And first, there's some characteristics about these super supporters. One is they're more likely to stay involved, okay? And the reason is because they're having a more meaningful and fulfilling relationship with the event, as well as with your organization and your cause. The other thing that super supporters do is they are likely to invite their friends and family to come and participate with them at the event. So it's not just that they're going to be asking for donations to help them reach their goal, but because they have that deeper relationship with you and connection to the event, they want to bring their friends with them and they want to show off what they've done, all the fundraising efforts that they've completed, and maybe they've reached an incentive level and get into a special tent where there's donuts. That's always fun, and maybe they're going to motivate their friends to also become fundraisers, which means that they need to come to the race with them so that they can go into the donut tent as well. And the third thing our super supporters do is they are more likely to care about the impact of your mission. So what that means is they are going to be tapped into what you're doing. You've got their ear, and not just for this event. So in the future, they're going to be following you. Maybe they never liked your Facebook page before, but now they have. And so when they may have participated in your race, but now they understand you're having a gala in the fall and you had such a great time at the race, you're going to be joining them there too. So, so these folks are sort of now in your network to help be future supporters in other efforts. So the third reason to activate fundraising is to expand your funnel. So what we know is that fundraisers share. They are trying to reach a goal, one that you've predetermined or one that they have customized. And the only way they can do that is if they spread the word. And so they're sending out emails with a link to their fundraising page, which they automatically got notified of and sent to their inbox when they became a fundraiser. That's automatically built into our fundraising features. And they're also sharing on their social media walls. And so on average, they're bringing in 5 to 10 donations. And that's 5 to 10 donations from 5 to 10 donors who may not have ever heard of your organization. Or maybe they they weren't aware of the urgency of what's happening right now in your organization as you're supporting a specific cause. Or maybe they have heard it, and this is another impression that helps deepen the connection between this person who's sort of on the periphery, hasn't really got involved, hasn't really directly contributed to you, but it's something they maybe care about. You're increasing the likelihood that those folks are now coming into that funnel, and as they move down through the funnel, they're going to be turned into those super supporters that we just talked about. All right, so I am very excited to hand it over to Elizabeth, who is one of our amazing senior account managers, and she is going to go through the setup of fundraising so you understand how to enable it in your dashboard for your event.
Thanks, Steve. So, so we have put on these slides at the very bottom, you'll notice the little dashboard location. So I just wanted to point that out ahead of time on each of the slides that I'm going to go through. I think there's 5 here. It has where you can go in your race dashboard to these things. If you want to follow along or watch this later, you can use those to find the spot. So step 1 is to turn on donations. On our platform, you have to have donations turned on in order to turn on fundraising. That should make sense, but we like to point it out to people. So think of it as layers. So you have to turn on donations in order to turn on individual fundraisers, and you have to turn on individual fundraisers in order to turn on team fundraisers. So step 1 is to go to that donation section. You're going to set your overall goal for the whole race. You're able to do things like put that goal thermometer on the cover page of your race if you want to with that goal. So that's important to set. You'll put your start and end dates for your donation period. So when you want people to begin having that option to donate when they're registering, we recommend that you just keep it open for the entire time. You have your race registration open and then even past the end date of the race. Put in a donation description. This is going to show for everybody who donates to a fundraiser. So you want to make sure that that is general enough and descriptive enough to kind of cover that for any fundraiser, because that donation description is going to show on the donate screen when somebody goes to one of their friends' pages and makes a donation. And then you also have the ability to customize some things like the logo that shows on that page and the donation levels that people can select from. So donation levels are like those little buttons that have $5, $100, $250 that people can just click when they're donating rather than having to type in an amount. It gives them a suggestion, something to go off of when they're making their donation. All right, step 2, like I said, is to enable individual fundraisers. So again, on our platform, you have to have individual fundraisers turned on to do teams. So you can do one or the other, but you can't do individual fundraising or you can do team fundraising without turning on individual fundraising first. There are ways to highlight team fundraising if that's your focus, but you will have to have individual fundraising enabled in order to do that. So this is step 2. So you're going to set your goal. You're going to enter some default copy that's going to show on fundraising pages. Obviously, you want your fundraisers to customize that and make it personal, but people don't like to write. So you want to give them something to work with, just in case they don't want to do that themselves, or maybe it takes them a couple of weeks of fundraising to figure out exactly what they want to say. You can also upload a logo there, and then there's some other customization options in the donation or in the fundraising customization on that screen as well that you can do for your fundraisers so that they don't have to do quite as much on their end when they set up their fundraisers. So step 2, continue. This is on the same screen as well, but needed to be broken out. So you'll set a fundraising goal default on this screen. So we recommend that everybody who turns on fundraising sets a default goal for their fundraisers, but you'll notice further down the screen, the screenshot that we have here, there's a little table there. So that includes some fields for what we call fundraising minimums on our platform. So I just wanted to point out that those are two different things to us. So a fundraising goal is like a default target that you want everyone to hit ideally. It's like a challenge, but you're not really enforcing that. If somebody doesn't raise $100, they only raise 85, you're still gonna let them participate in the race, and you're gonna encourage them to come back next year and fundraise for you again. Fundraising minimum is something different for certain types of events that have maybe required fundraising to participate. So in that example, a fundraising minimum would be, it's usually a little bit higher, and it's something that somebody has to hit before the date of the race in order to participate, get their bid, and run the race. So you don't need to set a fundraising minimum if you're not doing that. You can just set the goal. But if you are using minimums, if you are doing some kind of, maybe you have an event within your race that's required fundraising, you will set that minimum for that event, and you'll see that in that table there. And then you can also set a goal, because that's going to show on their page, and their little thermometer is going to reflect what the goal is. But you want to make sure that you're only using the minimums if that's something that your race actually does. All right, step 3 is to set up team fundraising. So like I said, you have to have individual fundraising turned on before you can even set this up. So if you go to this screen and you haven't turned on individual, it's going to take you back to that other screen and make you do that there. But if you are a team fundraising race, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this presentation, you're going to want to set this up ahead of time so that anybody who wants to create a team when they first register for the race is able to do that and start recruiting some more super supporters for you. So you'll just check the first box on this screen, which is allow users to set up new fundraiser teams. There's some other options like requiring that people join or create a team. Again, if you're a team fundraising race, you're probably going to check that. But if you're just a regular race that doesn't necessarily need that strong emphasis on teams, you might want to make that optional. Not everybody wants to be part of a team. So there's some options on that screen that you'll set up. And then you're also going to set an overall team goal default. Again, it's a goal, so they can change it if they want to, if they want to raise more money for you or challenge themselves even more. And then you're also going to set that default copy that goes on a team fundraiser page. And then there's some other options also on that screen for things like linking groups and teams and fundraising teams and bringing back teams from year to year. Step 4, the dashboard location for this one is actually just for the individual fundraisers options, but this is something that we have both for a team and individual fundraisers. So milestones are what we call these badges that you can set up that will show on someone's page when they're fundraising for you. So you can set up a milestone for, say, $50 raised is the first example here. So when that person gets that first $50 donation, they're going to get a nice badge that shows on what we call the trophy case that shows on their fundraising page, and it'll light up and they'll be able to share that if they want to when they first hit that. You can set these up. You can do as many as you want. I recommend setting one up for something like first donation. You can do creative things, not just amount raised. So there's one for like enabling Facebook fundraising, first donation reached, 10th donation reached. So it's really exciting for people to get these. So I recommend doing one that will pop up pretty early in their fundraising journey with you. But there's a lot of different ideas on this that we have in a couple of blogs. So this is something else that we recommend doing so that you can incentivize your fundraisers. I also put on here, you can get creative with these. These screenshots just have like our default badges, so you can see they look pretty nice. But you can actually come up with your own custom badges that you can make on like Canva, or if you're super lazy, you can Google and find some stock photos that you can use for your badges. We won't judge. So you can upload those and make custom badges that go with the theme of your race. And like I mentioned, this is available on the teams as well. So you would just go to the team fundraising section and set it up there.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Well, I am going to now talk a little bit about some specific features within the fundraising tool that can be really focused on increasing those registrations. So the first one I want to talk about is fundraising teams. So it's a great way to just organically increase registration. So yes, you're asking for people to connect their individual fundraiser to a team fundraiser, but that's going to actually generate the number of people that want to be part of that team. And to be part of a fundraising team, you have to set up your individual fundraising page. So see how that works. And then we want to talk about the distinction. It's really important here to understand the differences between our social groups and teams, which you can find that under the participants menu on your dashboard. And that is more focused on sort of creating a roster of people that are participating, but not necessarily fundraising. There's some benefits to it. You can create some discounts that apply to people that join those groups. You can also add setup fees. You can set up automatic refunds, but that is really only registration focused. Whereas fundraising teams, the effect that it has is it's going to increase the revenue on both sides, both registration and fundraising. So if you have a charitable focus, we recommend that you turn on fundraising teams and don't turn on the social groups and teams. And then another piece of fundraising teams, is to offer incentives and rewards and even a race day VIP experience for your top fundraising teams. So like that donut tent I was talking about earlier, maybe every team that reaches $5,000 gets their own dozen or a couple dozen donuts inside their team tent, right? And then I just wanted to feature this team here at the American Brain Tumors Breakthrough for Brain Tumors BT5K in Columbus. And I think that perfectly shows that sort of camaraderie and that importance that people, they want to feel like they're part of something bigger. It feels really good to reach your $250 goal, but man, it feels cool when you're part of somebody or a group that has reached $10,000. You're connected to that, even though you weren't part of the majority of that amount. You did your part. And then this, having those team shirts at the finish line, that's a really proud moment for teams, and I think it really roots people in their connection and their relationship with you. Another tool that you can use within fundraising is called our charity partner tool. And so a lot of races are going to have one organization that they are raising money for, which is great. And this actually has functions to turn that on. So it's not just for multiple charities, but it does speak to that. So if you do have multiple groups that people can donate to, that gives them options. So they can choose which charity they want to put their donation towards and which charity they want their fundraising page to be connected to. Okay, and so by creating these charities, you also have the opportunity to set up accounts for a representative from the charity. So if you add them on and you put in their contact information in the dashboard as you're setting up the charity, they're going to receive a notification, and it allows them to create a charity account, which then gives them a dashboard, and they can then self-serve themselves in terms of going on and running reports for those races that they are connected, their charity is connected to. They can see what donations have come in, they can see what payments have been made to them. And I'm skipping ahead, but I think this is important to talk about here. So the distribution of funds. So in that dashboard, they can actually set up a payment account. So when somebody donates or selects a specific charity in the registration flow, that money that's allocated to the charity can go directly into their bank account. So that means that there are no reports that your accounting folks are having to run. There's no checks that are being cut. The money flows automatically, and the data is available on both sides. So there's a ton of trust that you're instilling in the relationship between the race or the event and the charity, because everything is accessible. All the information is available to both parties. And then the one that I skipped over, but it's really a cool feature, the checkbox donation. So you can see in this case at the bottom there, you can add a $5 donation to support, whatever the name of the charity is. That is a feature of our charity partner tool. You don't have to have multiple charities to turn it on. But what's great is if somebody doesn't donate in the middle of the registration on the donation page, it can populate this box. And even if they do donate it, you can enable the configuration to still show it and say, you sure you don't want to put another couple bucks in? in. So I think it's that concept of, I'm at the grocery store line and what's another couple bucks, or what's $2 when I didn't want to put in $10. So just every opportunity, and I think it's not invasive because it's just a simple checkbox. It doesn't require them to do a whole lot of work or make a lot of decisions. They literally click it, it adds it onto the total automatically, and then they check out the same they would have if they hadn't checked the box. All right, so I'll pass back over to Elizabeth, who's going to talk about how you can enable fundraising by event within your race.
Yeah, so this is actually back in the part where I was talking about setup, that one graph that we had, or chart that you have when you're setting it up, where you can check off per event whether or not you want to require fundraising for that event. So again, quick refresher on the RunSignup platform. In our platform, we call the overall race a race. So your 5K is the race, and then within that you have your events. So maybe you have a charity 5K event set up, and then you have the regular 5K, or you have a marathon, a half marathon, and a 5K. Those are events in our platform. So when I say optional fundraising per event, I mean you might have, like in this example, different ride events, and then right there on the bottom I have charity 5K. So for that one's probably required fundraising, where if you sign up for that version of the 5K, you have to create a fundraising page. Maybe you have to join a fundraising team. If you join any of the other events, you either don't even see the fundraising option at all, or you could set it so that it's optional. You have a button that says become a fundraiser, and if I click that while I'm registering for the event, it'll put me down the path of creating a fundraiser page and maybe joining a team. But I don't have to, I can skip right over that. So just like with the charity checkbox, it's not invasive if you make it optional. So if your event has not previously done fundraising and it's something you're thinking about adding, that's a great way to get started for your first year of fundraising. You don't want to go straight to requiring everyone to creating a page and having to fundraise for you, because that's a lot of work both on your end and for your participants. So you can make it optional, either per event or for the whole race. Next one is Facebook fundraising. So we talk about this in, I think, every single donations and fundraising webinar that we've done in the last like 3 years or so. But if you haven't heard about our Facebook fundraising integration, the Facebook fundraising integration that we have allows you to just plug in the Facebook page of the nonprofit that you're supporting. So that might be you if it's your race, or if it's a charity that you're working with, you can get their Facebook page ID, and you're just going to plug that into your dashboard. And when you've done that, your fundraisers, when they create their pages, will see a button that says create this fundraiser on Facebook. If they click it, it'll have them go over to Facebook. They have to log into their Facebook if they're not logged in already, and then it'll create a matching fundraiser on their Facebook page that they can then share. So that fundraiser on Facebook will be connected to the RunSignup fundraiser. So if they get a donation on Facebook, it'll show up in their total on RunSignup. You'll be able to actually see that in your RunSignup reports, and then vice versa. So if they get a donation on RunSignup, that $50 will show up on their Facebook fundraiser. So it's a really great way for your fundraisers to reach their connections, who are people who maybe have no interest in participating in your race, but they'll support their granddaughter who's fundraising for this race that she wants to participate in, even if they have no plans to ever run a 5K. So it's a different set of people that they're reaching with those Facebook fundraisers, but it allows you to raise even more money than you would have otherwise. So like I said, very easy to set up, very easy to report on, because we have matching reports between RunSignup and Facebook. The donations that you get from Facebook are free, because Facebook, as long as the donation is made through their payment processor, which is called Facebook Payments, they don't charge any processing fees on that. So any donations that you get through that are free to you. There's not even a processing fee that's being paid by anyone. So the donor isn't paying for it, you're not paying for it. So it's free money, so it's hard to turn down. And we have some stats here. Usually 1.5 donations per fundraiser without a Facebook fundraiser connection. So on average, from what we've seen. But that went up to 14.7 donations per fundraiser with the Facebook fundraiser connection. So huge difference, because people are able to reach their friends.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can bring on our guests here. So I am very excited to introduce one of our sales reps who is focused on peer-to-peer fundraising and on coaching and directing nonprofits on how to optimize RunSignup and GiveSignup and TicketSignup to its full potential to really benefit the organizations. And so I'd like to welcome the incomparable Chris Newcomer.
Oh my goodness, it's me. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me on this fantastic daytime program, Better Than the View. You heard it here first. And I'm very happy to be here and to talk to you all about peer-to-peer fundraising, which, as Steve mentioned, is my new focus. I work with the peer-to-peer organizations and fundraisers happening currently at RunSignup to help them optimize the tools we have. And it's funny, I brought a special guest as well. So we're just doing a little bit of an open door of special guests, which is wonderful. And my special guest I'm bringing on is the wonderful Melinda Conklin from Hitting Cancer Below the Belt. Mindy has used us for almost every tool we have for her nonprofit, and we wanted to shine a light on her great work and ask her a few questions. And I think, Elizabeth, did you make her a panelist? Can we bring her in now?
I did. She's a panelist. So Mindy, if you're able to, you can unmute and show your camera now.
I think you're there. Let's see. Mindy, can you hear us? Well, as we figure that out, I just want to mention that if you do end up having questions about your peer-to-peer event, or if you have, you work with other nonprofits, or if you have friends who run their own peer-to-peer fundraisers, and you send them our way, you're more than welcome to, and you can send them to me, which is chris@givesignup.org. I'm always happy to help with other peer-to-peer fundraisers. And there's Mindy. How about a big round of applause? Woo!
Welcome, Mindy.
Welcome.
Sorry about that.
Great.
Sorry about that.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks so much for using our tools so well. We love to see it. That's one of the best parts about this job, is seeing when the tools that we help folks use really go to such great causes like yours. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about your organization?
Yes, I'm the founder and executive director of Hitting Cancer Below the Belt. We also go by HCB2, which is the acronym. We're a colon health, colorectal cancer prevention nonprofit based here in Richmond, Virginia, but we serve the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. We provide access to timely screening. We fund screening services at FQHCs and free clinics, provide nutrition support to cancer patients and survivors, and have an array of educational presentations and appearances and blogs and podcasts and fun things that we do to get the word out about colorectal cancer.
Oh my goodness, that's so great and so important, because it truly affects everybody, and it's such an important thing. I know you do the Boxer Brewery 5K with us. That's one of your big events. Can you tell us a bit about how that event works for you?
Yeah, we started in 2013, and I think we came on with RunSignup, about 6-7 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. And so it's our largest signature event. We usually bring in, pre-pandemic and now, we're back to about 700 participants, if you will, a couple hundred volunteers. We still go virtual, so we love that component, that we are actually on site and virtual at the same time. And we just started using more of the fundraising tools, I would say, over the last 4 years. And it's interesting, I was listening to Steve, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, we do that, and or do that we haven't done yet. And I'm jotting down some notes going, that's a great idea. So, and it's been extremely helpful. Yeah, we've raised a whole lot more money using the tools.
Oh, that's so great. And well, speaking to that, how have your participants who fundraise for you, how have they engaged with the tools? Have they found them pretty easy to use? Has it been intuitive, that kind of thing?
Yeah, most of them, it's team fundraising, and we actually acknowledge the largest team and the actual largest fundraiser. Teams really do drive our event. Unfortunately, teams are usually wrapped around someone who's passed away or is challenged with colorectal cancer, so it's a little bittersweet. But since we've been using the tools, and the main one that we find really helpful is a big reward. So if you donate, For us, if you donate $100, you're automatically entered to win a trip at the end of the year. So instead of swag, we tried swag in the past. That's not a really big motivator, but a really big motivator is a free trip for two, a week trip free for two, right? So if you find big, right, that you can offer your folks, we've seen our $100 donations quadruple.
Wow.
That's on all platforms, not just RunSignup. That's on our website. That's through Venmo, PayPal. That's through all of it. So offering something for folks that are donating a certain amount of money, whether it's a refund, whether it's whatever, but that has been very helpful. The teams and the team captains are so critically important, and staying in contact with the team captains year round, just checking in to see how they're doing. That relational component of the event, I think, is critical, especially for the work that we do. And because they are driving the event, they are bringing more participants to the event, they are wanting to raise money, they do want to be recognized because of the person they're honoring. And so that team captain is really important. So your communication, the emails, the way that you all have set up the system where they don't go into spam, they're not bounced. Folks open it, it's engaging. So even your components within your communication system is extremely helpful. We have found. So I would say those are the two main things: is the rewards, encouraging people to use that unique link in multiple different ways, and spell it out for them. This is how you can use it. These are some creative ways, and staying in contact with the team captains. And then again, offering some really big swag. Those are the three things we have found being very helpful.
That's so great. And when you say the unique link, you're talking about that referral link, so that if someone joins using their link, they can is that one, or their link to their fundraiser page, or both, I guess.
Actually, both. I'm glad you're clarifying that. Actually, both. But we actually raised this past year close to $1,300 more just by the referral link.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so people were sharing that referral link, and again, the data, we can pull all the data that we need to out of your system too. And I'm not an IT person at all, and if I can use this, anybody can use the system. So yeah, so that referral code is really important as well too, to raise extra funds.
That's so great. And you really, I was going to ask how you approach participant communication, but you really covered that. And I think we see that a lot. It's so important. Because how they engage is how you engage with them, right? How the organizations keep them interested, and you make a great point that it's not just while the event is going on, it's throughout the year, reminding them it's coming up, reminding them to rally their sphere of influence to help support your organization. Yeah, so I love to hear that those tools work for you that way.
Yeah, and I apologize for interrupting, but I really do want to highlight that even some of my board members don't truly understand. They want me to continually use the CRM, to send out emails, which I do, but I'm like, y'all don't understand. The people that are on my RunSignup list, which are also in my CRM, but when I do a specific email to them, they open it, they read it.
Yeah.
And so it's just a whole, I actually use it as a little event CRM, if you will. It's very important.
That's so fantastic. Oh, Mindy, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. And it was so great to hear about what your great organization does and about Boxer Brief 5K, and just we're happy to see you continue to do such great work.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Chris and Steve and Elizabeth. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining us.
Round of applause. Woo!
All right, awesome. And I think Elizabeth's got just some takeaways we want to wrap up with. So these are the things that we hope you remember after we're done today.
Yeah, so these things are all things we've already covered, but just as a reminder, if you forget everything that we've said to you in the last 35 minutes or so, remember these things. So events that activate fundraising raise 700% more on average than events that are just taking donations. And that's not even considering events that aren't doing donations at all. But if you don't have a charity partner and aren't taking donations, you should start there. But definitely use our fundraising tools to raise more, because we make it pretty easy for you. And then next one is kind of to what Mindy was saying, use teams, because people will rally behind somebody that they either know that's close to the cause, or just they want to join a team for the social aspect, depending on the type of event. So use those teams and use the milestones to make fundraising engaging and social for people who are participating in your event. These are really easy things from a setup perspective and even from like an event management perspective. And it just makes the experience a lot better for people, especially year to year in your event. And then last one is turn on Facebook fundraising, because who doesn't like free money? So again, super easy way to get some more free donations. And we make that easy for you as well.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we hope you learned something, you're inspired, you're ready to go out. And I mean, how many seconds does it take to get this enabled, Elizabeth? It's under a minute, right? Maybe under 30.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how long it takes you to write the copy, I would say. But if you have that ready to go, a minute, totally.
So no excuses, guys. Just get log into RunSignup. You're probably already in there anyway, right? Like most organizers are in there all day long. And turn it on, play with it a little bit. You know, go through the flow yourself. So that you can see the benefits, see how easy it is. It'll help you when you're answering questions to your folks that are reaching out. And if you have questions for us, we did have one here in the chat that can we get a copy of the presentation? So we will send out a recap blog that will have a recording of this, as well as a link to the slides. So yes, you do have access to that. And please, we truly mean this. All of our account managers enjoy coaching our accounts, our customers, and helping you all. So please reach out to your account manager or to the info@RunSignup team if you want to get any tips or tricks or have somebody walk you through this specifically with your event. And you can also request that with myself or Elizabeth. So that door is always open. So thanks everyone. Thanks Elizabeth. Always fun to chat with you.
and thanks Chris for hopping on with us as well.
Yes,
hey, and always happy for a guest spot. Now, where was my check? Is that around here somewhere? Can I just pick that up on the way out?
Yeah, no, it should be arriving later today.
Fantastic.
Yeah. check your email.
All right. Well, thanks everyone.